What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with what's going to be the first video in my Mass Effect 3 favorite characters series that I'm going to be running through. Now, I know I did a lot of my solo videos and talked about a lot of the different characters and kind of showed you guys how you can use some of the early level characters to kind of do solo runs and play the game rather well. But now what I wanted to do, I actually was thinking the other day, I wanted to do a series where I talk about some of the other characters in the game that I really enjoy using. Of course, these are all based on my opinion and my actual game experience. But these are going to be some of the characters that I feel are pretty strong overall in terms of their powers and abilities, and characters you can use on some of the higher difficulties, and some that are just really enjoyable to use. So the first video today, we're actually starting with the Asari Adept. Now, this is not the normal Asari Adept. There's actually two of them. There is the regular Asari Adept that you actually will get her early on in some of the veteran packs if you're lucky, maybe even some of those recruit packs. But what I'm actually going to be using the Asari, I believe she's the Asari Justicar. She's a little bit more of a rare character that you will get from opening the same packs. So what we're going to look at here today is just the powers that she has, and I'm going to make the weapon recommendations that I normally use. She's got some pretty interesting powers. The only real drawback with her is she's kind of like the other Asari. She's a little bit fragile. Can't take a whole lot of damage, but her powers more than make up for that and really give her a little bit of an edge. So you can see here she's got Biotic Sphere, which creates a defensive shield that surrounds the caster and nearby allies. More damage is dealt to enemies that come into the shielded area. She also has Reeve, drain a target's health and disrupt their resistance, receiving increased damage protection while the power is in effect. And it's effective against barriers and armor. This is a really, really good power in this game for some of the Biotic classes. And then she has Pull, which yanks an opponent helplessly off the ground. This is a very fast recharging power, and it creates a Biotic combination with Reeve, which I'm going to talk about, and then we're going to see in some gameplay later on. And you have Asari Justicar, which are some of her traits, and then you have the Fitness Pool as usual. So let's talk about Biotic Sphere. This is a power I used to really not use too much. I used to 6-slot her and everything else and just leave this completely out. But I found this to be kind of helpful, especially on the higher difficulties, especially when you get those objective waves that require you to, decode the items that are laying around the map. It doesn't come in handy so much for escorts, but it's useful. Also, if your team is kind of using a part of the map as a choke point, you can also set up this shield. You can see there the first is Biotic Sphere. It creates defensive. More damage is dealt to enemies that enter the shield. I've noticed that enemies don't really come in the shield very often, so that's not really a great thing, but it's got some other abilities. You can increase the recharge speed by 25%. The other problem with the shield, too, is it does not have a very large radius. It's only 3 meters, so not a very big space, and people don't often stay inside of it. You can increase the duration by 30%, so there's almost at a minute. When you get to rank 4, you can do shield regeneration. Any allies that are within the shield decreases your shield recharge delay by 15%, or you can increase the shield's radius by 30%, which I really don't find to be that useful. The shield recharge delay really helps, especially on some of those higher difficulty levels. You can also do damage reduction. So people who stand inside the shield will take less damage. Now, this shield does not block enemy attacks at all. It just minimizes the damage a little bit. Or you can increase the damage taken by enemies when they come into the shielded area. Like I said, I don't often see enemies coming into the shielded area, so I would not suggest slotting that. And then the last rank 6, you have decrease the damage shielded allies take by 10% and decrease the delay before shields regenerate by 10%. Again, another pretty useful power there. And then enemies inside the shield will be hit with warp, dealing 57.5 damage per second, reducing their armor by 25%. Plus, you can use this to set up Biotic explosions. Again, I very rarely see any enemies walking through the shield. Even if you put it in a choke point, it seems like they know to avoid it in this game. So I usually just go for the guaranteed bonuses your allies will get when they're inside of it. And this can be a pretty good power to use, especially like if you have someone who likes to snipe and you can put the shield around them. They can stay in their little sniper post and get some little benefits there. Now, Reeve is a very, very good power. This is one of the better Biotic powers in the game, in my opinion. And you can see there it drains a target's health. It's kind of a damage over time. Disrupts their resistances, and then you also get damage protection yourself. You can see you get a 15% damage reduction while this power is active on an enemy. And the cool thing about this power is it will jump to other enemies after, like, say you put it on an enemy and then they get killed, it will jump to another enemy if it's nearby. Of course, you got your basic increased recharge speed, increased power duration. Rank 4, you can increase the power duration, or you can increase the impact radius by 3 meters. I just go for duration usually. That's really good for using on bosses. You can increase the damage protection by 10% or increase recharge speed by 35%. It's fairly quickly recharging power, so I usually go for more damage protection. That always comes in handy at the higher difficulties. And then at rank 6, you can do increase effectiveness against armor and barriers, or you can do increase the damage and duration and damage protection bonus by 15%. Both of these are really, really good, but since I use her for more solo play, I tend to go for more damage and duration and damage protection. So really good power overall. Reeve is definitely a power you should be 6-slotting no matter how you use it. And the other thing too is Reeve is a trigger for biotic explosions with her, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. Next you have Pull, which is a fairly simple biotic power and a very fast recharging. This is in a way kind of like the throw ability, except this yanks people off the ground and causes them to float. And you can increase the recharge speed. This power you can just spam. You can see the recharge there is very fast, 1.23 seconds. You can increase the duration there. Now you can increase your duration by 100% or increase the impact radius. Again, I usually go for duration. You can inflict 86.25 damage per second to lifted targets, or you can increase all damage to targets lifted by Pull by 30%. This is kind of useful if you're playing in a team that you know of, like if you're playing with your friends and they know to hit your targets, increase damage. But I like to do the damage over time, just a personal preference of mine. All right, now you can do duration and combo, increase duration by 50% and increase the force and damage of biotic detonations on affected targets by 75%, or you can increase the recharge speed again, which makes this just a complete spam power. You really need to be taking duration and combo because this character has one of the easiest biotic combos to do. She's very good, they're very strong. You basically hit an enemy with Pull and then let it take effect. Hit them with Reeve, that'll cause an instant biotic explosion, which will do damage to them and all the enemies around them. And that damage is increased as you go up in difficulty level. So it comes in very handy when you're playing on silver and gold. And you can just spit those biotic explosions out so fast with her. His Pull recharges very quickly, and Reeve also recharges fairly quickly. Then you have Asari Justicar, which is basically just her trait pool here. You're going to get longer power duration, more weapon damage, and more strength. You can increase your weapon damage by 5%, increase power duration by 20%, and you can do increased weapon damage bonus or increase power duration and increase weight capacity. I always go for that on the biotic characters because I want the recharge power to be a lot more quick. I normally will just use a very small pistol or submachine gun on most of my biotic characters to give them faster recharge speed, so I tend to take off as much weight as I can when that's an available option. Now, one thing you can do with her is you can only 4-slot the Biotic Sphere, and then you can go ahead and 6-slot Asari Justicar if you want to get some of these other bonuses. The increased power and force damage does come in handy, especially with those Biotic explosions. Increasing headshot damage bonus is really not, I don't really ever take that power. And if you get into rank 6, you can decrease assault rifle weight or increase weapon damage bonus by 10%. That's kind of a personal preference. I don't tend to use assault rifles with biotics because they tend to weigh too much, and I like to have that full 200% regeneration. And then fitness, I think it's usually only worth taking up to a 4-slot because she just really does not have very high base health or shields. You're not going to really get a whole lot of mileage out of going all the way to 6 slots with your health and shield bonuses because she's got very low health and shields. She's very fragile, kind of a glass cannon, but she can do a ton of damage. She's not quite as bad a glass cannon as some of the Drell characters, but she can put out a ton of damage with those biotic explosions. So just a very good character overall, some very good talents there. For my weapon recommendations, like you can see here, I've got a pistol equipped, the M5 Phalanx X. You can see there it gives me a power recharge speed of plus 200%. And usually I would recommend using a heavy pistol with her because you can see a lot of the heavy pistols, you're still going to get a fairly high recharge speed. Even the Executioner pistol, which is very heavy, you still get 150. And then for the weapon mods, I do suggest using a piercing mod. That's always good for armored targets, especially if you're against Cerberus. That'll let you shoot through those shields. And I also recommend using the power magnifier because this is going to give you more power damage, whether it's tech or biotic. So that's a great attachment to use if you are running a biotic class or a tech class. The other weapons I'll use with her would be submachine guns. Again, you can get some pretty decent recharge rates with a lot of the submachine guns, even when you have some better powers and slots and abilities on them. So you've got a whole bunch of decent weapon options with her. There are some shotguns too she can use that aren't too heavy. Like the Scimitar, which is a very good shotgun, the Viscerator, the Disciple's pretty solid. It's not a strong shotgun, but you can definitely have a lot of range. and get pretty quick fire rate. But you can see some of these, like the Claymore, you don't want to use that. You don't want to use any of these that are giving you power recharge less than 100%, because that's just really going to limit the amount of biotic damage you can do. Some of the sniper rifles will work too. If you're a good sniper, you can take, like the M97 Viper X is a great sniper that doesn't weigh very much. The Mantis is an excellent sniper rifle as well. That's actually one of the better snipers in the game, and you get it fairly early on. So you got a couple other sniper rifles if you prefer to do that type of gameplay. But I've found her to work best using heavy pistol or a submachine gun. Of course, there's all kinds of different ammunition you can use with her as well to kind of work with those biotic explosions. Equipment for gear bonus, I normally run the shield bonus here. If I can find it, shield booster 5, that's what I've got. It gives you an extra 30% in shield strength because, like I said, she's very low on shields, and that's probably one of the better gear boosts I have right now. There are some other ones that work well with her. Let me see if I actually have any of them, like Martial Biotic, not really, because you're not doing a whole lot of melee damage with her. You don't want to really be up close to enemies with her because she cannot take a whole lot of damage. But I think that's probably the best one I have for her, and that's why I keep using it. Or you can do the Adaptive War Amp, which gives you 15% biotic power damage. That's going to help with those biotic explosions. And just in general, of course, ammo, weapons, and armor bonuses are all up to you. But that's pretty much it for her as a character. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get into some gameplay. I'm probably going to be doing some silver gameplay here, so it'll be against a little bit more difficult enemies, but give you guys a good idea of how her powers and things work. So hang on just a second, guys, and we're going to get into some gameplay. Alright guys, here we are with some gameplay with the Asari Adept, the Asari Justicar. We're going to get into it here. We are playing some silver, and we are going up against Cerberus. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to see what we can do here. Now I am running her with the shield booster in my gear slot. I also have armor-piercing rounds on my M5 Phalanx. And then I believe my other boost is a 10% power damage boost in my other gear slot. But hopefully I'll get to show you guys. See there, you use lift, and then you use Reeve, and you get your biotic explosion. And that is one of the ways. And you can see here, though, at the same time, just how fragile she is. Just took a couple hits from that Centurion, and she's already, shields are already down. And you can see there, we died very, very quickly. I'm going to go ahead and just pop a Metagel here. Got to get away from these Dragoons. These guys are really a pain when you're playing against Cerberus. Cerberus is one of the harder factions to actually play when you are on the silver level of difficulty, especially when you get those engineers out there with those turrets, which can take you down very quickly. Hopefully we can get some biotic explosions going here. Get some ammunition. See where these guys are going to pop out from. Looks like we got a few up here. And I can show you that shield. You can put the shield. You can see there, though, it is kind of small. You can kind of see there. It's not exactly a huge shield. It's not very big. This guy is going to come after me. I'm going to throw Reeve on him, which hopefully is going to start taking some of his armor down, and that's going to give me a damage protection aura. You can see there I've got the kind of biotic energy all around me. It's basically allowing me to do a little bit, have a little bit more damage protection. You can see there, we cannot stay out in the open with her very often. She just cannot take hardly any damage, which is very difficult if you're trying to been with this character. I've been trying to do a couple silver solos with her, and I usually make it to like wave 7 or 8, but it's just very difficult to solo with her because she's so fragile. And one of my biggest issues I have too is I'm just not I'm not very attentive when it comes to using cover. I like to play a little bit more aggressively and use soft cover, so I tend to take a little bit more damage. So we'll slap him with pole, and then we hit Reeve, and we've got our biotic explosion. So pretty easy to do biotic explosions with her. She is very user-friendly when it comes to that. I know some of the other classes can do biotic explosions. It's not quite as easy with them, but she definitely makes it pretty easy to do that. So one of the reasons I like her as a character, just a very good power setup. Like I said, Reeve is a very good biotic power. Pole is a very good biotic power as well. The shield is kind of you. I mean, if you want the shield, you can use it. If not, you know, like I said, you can always go in 6-slot her Asari Justicar trait pool if you don't want to, you know, max out the shield. So But this is what I was telling you guys. This is where it comes in handy. See, we got the Intel data sync there. I can throw a shield up, so whoever's doing the objective is going to get a little bit more damage protection. Or even if you're doing the objective yourself, it can give you a little bit more damage protection. So I like to throw it up on those, especially for like this one here, since this is out in the open. You want to put your shield down on it, and then even if you're taking some shots from people, it will tend to reduce that damage a little bit. So this shield can come in handy on some of the objective waves, which is always good. Oh, another thing about Pole, you can tear away the shields from the Guardians. See there, you just rip his shield off and hit him with Pole again. This is where we have problems with these engineers. Okay, revive. This guy's going to get behind here. See if we can't grab him. Here we go. I love doing those overcover grabs. Alright, do another biotic explosion here for you guys. There you go. Very easy to do biotic explosions. And I know some people have trouble with those, but once you get the hang of using a pretty good character, it's not too bad. And you can see there, you can just throw Pole out quite often. We got a couple Cerberus guys here, so we're going to actually... I was going to try to grab him again, but... Those overcover grabs are really cool to pull off, but sometimes they can be... The guys will move out of the way right before you manage to do it. See, like he backed off as soon as I got behind that... as soon as I got behind the barrier there. It's like he knew what I was going to be doing. That's okay, we'll just biotic explosion. Now, one thing about those is when you use Pole, their shields have to be down, or it will not go into the... It won't lift them off the ground to where you can do biotic explosions. Let's see if we can just take his shield away. So Pole is a great power, very, very good for dealing with a multitude of different enemies. And these turrets. Those things can ruin your day very quickly when you're playing against Cerberus. Oh, there he is. It's like Alright, so there you have it, guys. That's pretty much the general gist of things when you're using the Asari Justicar. I'm going to go ahead and let the gameplay continue out. I'm not going to commentate anymore because I think I've given you guys pretty much the general lay of the land with this character. This is, like I said, one of my favorite characters to use in the game. A very low maintenance, very easy character to get the hang of. So if you guys are looking for a fun biotic class to use, I would definitely suggest using the Asari Justicar. Adept, you're probably going to find her in some of the more advanced packs. I have had her come in a veteran pack before, but a lot of the times you'll see her in the higher level, like the Spectre packs and things, but eventually you'll probably get her. She seems to drop at a pretty decent rate, so like I said, very good character, very easy to use, especially if you're a newer player at the game and you're looking for a powerful biotic class that doesn't have a very high learning curve. You know, there's some biotics like the Drell that can be very difficult to use because they don't have a lot of health, and it's difficult if you're a new player to figure out how to use those guys. So like I said, definitely a pretty low maintenance character here to use. She's very good. So anyways, guys, enjoy the rest of the gameplay. I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you guys have any questions or comments below, as always, leave them for me and I'll do my best to answer them. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again next time.
you